Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Group Approaches to Mental Health Counseling, also known as Group Procedures or just Group Class. It is fall 2019. The 2019-2020 semester has begun. So it's always really exciting to look through my course roster, and I saw lots of familiar faces, familiar names. I'm super excited to see you all in here. I also saw some names I'm not familiar with, so that's exciting too. Maybe our first time to work together. So in this video, I want to tell you a little bit about the course. I'm going to review the syllabus, so you might want to make sure you have that handy as we get started. I want to tell you about some changes we have for this course. And my expectations for the course for you. So let's get started. Again, I'm Dr. Smith, and I live in Laramie, Wyoming. I teach full-time for Antioch. I'm core faculty, Antioch, New England. I think this is starting my third year as full-time faculty, and then I adjuncted for Antioch for a year prior to that. So my fourth year at Antioch, and I love it. I love my colleagues, the other faculty and staff, and I really enjoy getting to know students. I love the residencies. That's my favorite part of this, and what we bring back from the residencies, that we've gotten to know each other and connected a little bit. I really love that part too. Okay, so let's see. We're going to talk about process groups in this course. There are several different types of groups. You're going to hear psycho-ed groups or leader-led groups like AA, things like that. But what we're focused on is therapeutic groups, because after all, that's what we do. So it is my strong belief that after you take this course, you can easily lead a psychoeducational group. Those tend to be very focused on structure and time and content, covering content, whereas a process group is much less structured. It's more like a counseling session where the counselor doesn't go in with an agenda, maybe some openers, maybe some transitional kinds of strategies, but it is very much like a counseling session where you don't go into your counseling session with like, okay, we're going to talk about these 5 things, 10 minutes each, and then it's over. A lot of people think that groups are like that, but actual process groups, therapeutic groups, are much less focused on reaching agenda items and much more focused on, you guessed it, the process and the therapeutic quality of group members. Your client, when you lead a group, is the group and the process therein rather than one person. So we'll talk a lot about that, but that's just a little mini introduction to the type of group we're going to work with. So, okay, couple of changes I wanted to mention. In the past, you may have heard this, we have tried doing Zoom meetings within the context of the online group course, and we didn't get good feedback from students as far as scheduling. It was really tough, and it just didn't seem like it was what they gained from it was worth necessarily what they were going through to schedule it and to attend those group Zoom meetings. So we're not doing that. If you see that referenced, I've tried to clean it out. I've tried to clean out the syllabus. I've tried to clean out the module, but sometimes I accidentally leave something in there. So if you see something referencing a Zoom meeting, you can ignore that. Maybe let me know if you care to, but I have tried to remove all references to the Zoom meetings. So if you see that, don't panic. Just know that that's not happening anymore. The other change that we've made structurally to the class is we have decoupled it from the residency. We were finding that students who were struggling at the end of this course had a hard time buying tickets to get to residency if they weren't sure they were going to pass the course, or sometimes people would buy their tickets and then they didn't pass the course. So we've decoupled that, and you will be attending group residency in the spring. May 2020 is our next group, or our next residency. So we are hoping that that will work well for students and for planning and things like that. And we'll talk towards the end of this course on how to stay fresh, how to keep what you're learning in this course fresh for when you take the residency a few months later. So, okay, so those are 2 changes. So if you see anything in the syllabus or in the modules that refer to upcoming group residency, it's not really upcoming, it's coming in May. So don't panic about that, and then don't panic about any Zoom references. Hopefully those are gone. So I will plan on doing short videos, a little bit of lecture, a little bit of like module prep on most modules. Some modules just don't need it. But I also might do another video, an additional video in between. If I notice that I'm getting a lot of consistent questions about something, then that tells me that maybe the directions were not clear enough. And so I will often go in and compile questions from students and make a short video, even in the middle. So, okay, let's see. I have covered that. I'm going to go over a few expectations of the course before we dig into the syllabus. So the course is divided into 8 modules. Most of them are 2 weeks each, except for fall break. And it's on my to-do list today to go put in all the dates for the modules. They're on the syllabus, but I'm going to go ahead and put them in the modules. So don't panic if you have noticed that they're not there. They will be by the end of the day today. So a little bit of expectations for the discussion boards. The discussion boards are, I like to think of those as what you're doing in class. That those are the ways that you're having a meaningful discussion amongst your graduate student peers. So, having said that, they need to be professional in nature, avoid slang, colloquialisms. I expect very few grammatical errors. So write them out, then edit them. Read them out loud, whatever it takes, whatever your strategy is to make sure that you're saying what you hope you're saying, what you want to be saying. They don't need to be APA, but they do need to have references. I want you to be supportive of your fellow students. It's super helpful if you use, when you are responding to a peer, use their name. Say, hello, Mike. Hello, Janet. This is what I think of your post, or things like that, so that sometimes they get a little jumbled and it's hard to realize who you're talking to. And that's just good online etiquette, to use someone's name and to sign it. It's a little less important to sign it because we can see who did it. But go ahead and use that online etiquette of using someone's name when you're sending them a message or a discussion board reply. What else? I really have an expectation that discussion boards are to be done on time because, again, if you think of it in terms of a classroom, if you're late to the discussion, it's like you've come into room 205 and no one else is there and you're talking. So what you say may be really great, but no one else gets to benefit from that and you don't get to connect with other students. So that's a problem. I have a little bit of a low tolerance for being late on discussion boards because of that. You're not really getting to engage the way that the expectation is set up. So do try to be very timely with that. The best way to communicate with me is through Antioch email or through the course. If you send an email through the course, I get an email for that too, so that's fine. There is a little section called Ask Your Instructor. I don't find that very helpful because you have to kind of dig to see it, and I don't get a notification. So if you have a question just for me, feel free to email me anytime, if it's like particular to your situation. If you have a question that's more general and that you think other students might benefit from hearing or in hearing the answer to, please post it on the course wall. I do try to check that often. If you notice something's on the course wall and I haven't responded to it, I'm not ignoring it. I just didn't see it. Sometimes I go straight into grading, or I go straight to the discussion boards, and I miss that. So if you have a question and you put it on the course wall and you haven't heard from me within 24 to 48 hours, go ahead and shoot me an email and let me know that you put a question on the course wall. I'm pretty good about seeing that, but every once in a while I miss it. And same for me, you guys. Please address your email to me. Say, hello, Dr. Smith, and sign your name. That's just basic. I don't appreciate emails that start out with, hey, you, or just barge right into a question. Remember, we're people. I'll do the same for you. And I think that online etiquette becomes really important when that's our only way, our main way of communicating. So, I used to never say this, but now I have to say this, that if you do find mistakes in the syllabus or in the module, please let me know, and please do it in a way that that is kind, I guess we'll just say. If you find a mistake, believe me, it was not intentional. I have a big heart. I work really hard for students, and I'm a human. I do make mistakes. And please know that if you find a mistake, and that if it feels like it might affect your grade, I will not hold you accountable for that. I will fix my mistake. So there's no need to be aggressive or angry. I mean, you can feel angry. You can feel whatever you want, but know that that's not where I'm coming from. I am not ever trying to be difficult, or I don't ever try to make mistakes. Of course, I try to do everything the right way. So it's sad that I have to say that, but I really do. I've just, time has taught me. I also am pretty strict these days about late assignments because, I've just kind of gotten burned with that. Incompletes, I rarely give incompletes these days because then I'm ending up grading over Christmas and New Year's and things like that. So if you know you're going to be late on something or something's coming up, please communicate with me before. Let's work out a plan. I would much rather that than if I go in the grade book and I grade it and then you ask me later, can I submit this later? Probably the answer is going to be no. So, so do try to communicate with me. Emergencies come up, let me know. I'll do my best. If numerous emergencies come up through the semester, you may experience things a little differently. But regardless, do communicate with me as best you can. I do try to respond within 24 to 48 hours, except for weekends. I do my best to take off on the weekend and not check email and not grade, although sometimes I do. I know a lot of students end up working on the weekends because they work during the week, so that can be a little tricky, but I will respond Monday morning. Also, please include your section letter. Section number, section letter. You'll see the course, I think, is 60, what is it, 60-30? Let me see here. It is 60-30, and then you'll see a section. It's going to be A, B, C, or D. So please, if you have a question, not even please, but like I have to have your section number. Because if I go through to look at the grade book or look at your assignment, if you don't send me the section number, I have to go through all of the courses to find your name. So it's really important that you include it maybe in the title of your email or the subject of your email, and maybe even in the first line of your email for me. Some way include that. I think if you don't, I'm going to send back a message saying please include section letter, because otherwise I have to really search for you through all different rosters. I'm teaching several sections of the group course. So, okay, so those are the things I really wanted to go over. Then now, if you have your syllabus ready, go ahead and pull that up, please. And I'm not going to go over every single item in the syllabus because, well, you know, just because. But I don't want to indicate that The other items are not important. You see my contact information, the course description. Oh, that reminds me. At the end of the course description, you'll see includes 10 hours of small group experience. That's true, but you don't have to do it this semester. That you'll get more information about that. We provide you that experience with a counselor, and you'll meet through Zoom at some point during your time at Antioch. But it does not have to be done during this class. It does have to be done during your time at Antioch. Okay, so you can see the required readings. The Corey book, which I very much love, and the Yalom book, which I like super duper love. I think of the Yalom book as more theoretical and a little magical, and then the Corey book, I think of that as more the nuts and bolts. There is some additional reading, but primarily it's those two. There is a lot of reading to this course, so bear with me. If you'll go ahead, there's the learning outcomes, all those kinds of important things. Then you'll see the CACREP, where we address the CACREP standards, which is also super important. The rest of it is kind of Antioch policy and CMHC policy and complete policies, things like that. The Zoom etiquette, you can ignore that because we don't have a Zoom component in this class, although lots of classes do. Confidentiality is going to be a super important part of this class. It's my expectation in every class, but especially this class because, well, again, all classes, when you talk and share things, remember what happens in this course stays in this course. If you know something about someone and you have them in another course or an internship the next semester, you don't bring up something that they told you in this course. So that feels maybe complicated, but less is more. It's never your position to disclose something about someone else. You can leave that up to them and they may choose not to. Okay. Academic integrity is very important. I expect you to cite any work that you use to state your position. So be very careful about that. There's information, lots of information about, for students with disabilities. Fran Zipperstein is who you would call or email. Our diversity and inclusion statement, our civility pledge, those are really important. You'll see those in all of our syllabi these days. Those are very important as well. So if you'll go, let's see, what page am I on? I'm on page 10. Course assignments. That's what we're really going to spend the most time going over. You can see your discussions are worth 20% of your grade. Your theory presentation is worth 20% of your grade. And then we have 4 skill building activities where you will basically watch a video and then identify skills, and you write a paper about that. I have a rubric, I have prompts. It's very straightforward. The first one is different than the consecutive 3. Just because the first one is due actually at the end of next week. So it's much more basic. It's much more about identifying the basic skills, whereas the other ones get a little bit more detailed. And those come in the mid-semester and then right at the very end of the semester. So you can see the discussion board evaluation rubric is the same, just like it is for probably most of your classes. So then go ahead and go down to the course schedule. And again, if you see mistakes, there very well could be mistakes, please let me know. Module 1, and that's week 1 and 2. So we have one discussion about just getting to know you. I would like for you to all participate in that. And then the second discussion is related to psychological risk and group leader competencies. So you can read all of this. I guess I don't need to go over all of those things. I had to update a lot of parts of this course, and my updating skills in Engage are not excellent. So I'm still working on that in the course. But don't worry if the discussions are labeled differently. Like I can see in the syllabus, there's a discussion 3. in the course, there's actually not a discussion 3 because I took away that discussion and added the video skills analysis number 1. So I have already found a mistake. And see how nice I told myself that there was a mistake. I will do my best to fix that. And I think basically right now in the modules, discussion 3 just doesn't exist. And you go straight from discussion 2. In the second module, you go to discussion 4. Just bear with me. I hope that doesn't blow anybody's mind too much. But your first assignment is due at the end of next week. You can see the rubric under the Getting Started section of the course. And you watch an outpatient group with Irvin Yalom. It is slow. Process groups are slow, sometimes tedious. And I'm just acknowledging it's not very fast-paced. So maybe grab some popcorn, something like that, and get comfortable. You're just working at this point to identify the basic skills that you'll read about in your Corey book. Let's see. Okay, Module 2. You have a leadership quiz, which is just kind of interesting, and then lots of reading in the Corey book, and then a discussion. So that's Module 2, Week 1. Module 2, Week 2, a little bit more reading and a second discussion. Module 3, you can see you have reading in the Yalom book. I tried to divide that up pretty well, so you're reading from one book each module. Weeks 5 and 6 is Module 3. You have 2 discussions and a TED Talk, which I really love this TED Talk. I think they call it the Lollipop TED Talk, and it's a good one. Module 4, this is one of my favorites. The Here and Now, and is really kind of what Yalom is known for. And so you get to read it straight from Yalom. I really love that. Sorry about my dogs barking. There's neighbors walking by. So in Module 4, you have Discussion 8 and Discussion 9. And then, of course, lots of reading. Module 5, this is where in this module, there are no discussions, just 2 assignments. And you'll be watching 2 different videos and doing basically a response to each of those videos. One the first week, one the second week. And the directions for those will be the same as each other, different from the first assignment. I hope that's not too confusing either. I did put the due dates on. Basically, they're just due at the end of each module, or end of each week in the module. So then Module 6, you get to really spend a lot of time working on your theory presentations. And that you pick your theory based on the Corey book, probably. And if you have an unusual theory, we could talk about that. But I like for them to be based on the Corey book. And then most of your reading will be straight from the Corey book. I'm working on figuring out a way. I think I'm going to do it through a discussion, but the technology part of this is a little bit overwhelming. But I'm working on a way for you to be able to watch your peers' theories. I did it one year where people couldn't watch each other's, and I had a lot of requests to be able to watch each other's, and that way you're presenting to the class. So I'm working on the technology piece of that, and it should be done by the time you get there. That's way in Module 6. So it is a big assignment. It's 20% of your grade, but I have a rubric for that, what you should include on each slide, how many slides per topic. It should be pretty straightforward. It is one of those assignments I would like for you to record yourself going over your PowerPoint as if you're doing it in class, and you can do that through Zoom or whatever's on your computer. Then you make a YouTube link, and you'll post that in some magical way on the course, maybe through a discussion, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so Module 7, let me just scoot around here a little bit. Module 7, we have 2 discussions in the first week of Module 7. you'll notice that the second week of Module 7, week 14, is fall break. So there's nothing due, no assignments, no reading. You just do the 2 discussions simultaneously in the first week of that module. And no assignments, just the discussions. So then Module 8 is our last module. It's week 15 and 16. You have a discussion and an assignment. And the assignments due at the end of the first week of that module. So that's December 8th. And then the module is actually over December 15th. And you can do your discussion the first week too. So technically you could really be pretty much done with that module if you do everything on time by that first week of the module. And it's the same thing. You have a video to watch and then a skill, basically a skill identification analysis paper that you write. They should be 2 to 3 pages. And again, there's a rubric for that under the Getting Started section. So, okay, this will be my longest video probably of the semester. I try to keep them short, but I had a lot to cover in this video. So if you have any questions, please email me. Don't ever hesitate to reach out, to email me, to write it on the course wall. Sometimes on the course wall, I notice that other students answer the question, and of course I'm happy for that to happen as well. Sometimes I don't chime in if your question was answered right away. Anyway. So, okay, I hope I covered everything, and I will see you all very soon. Welcome to the course.